Here it is, Flames of War, Kasserine, two-player starter, the Americans versus Germans. In this kit, you're going to get 21 tanks and 3 guns. I'm going to go ahead and turn this around. So in this kit, you're going to get an entire American force, an entire German force, your A5 size rulebook, a quick start guide, and 13 unit cards. The breakdown of the figures in this set, you'll have one M3 Lee tank that you would kit out as a headquarters. And then you have a tank platoon of 3 M3 Lees, a tank platoon of 3 M4 Shermans, and then lastly, a tank platoon of 5 M3 Stewarts. On the German side, you're going to kit out 1 Panzer III as an HQ, and then have 1 platoon of 5 Panzer IIIs. Then you'll have a tank platoon of 3 Panzer IVs, and then finally 3 5cm guns. So very similar to the Tobruk set, and then you have one nation that has a majority of tanks, and then the other nation having tanks and then artillery. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside. As you can see, this box is chock full of plastic sprues. First off, you have the colored dice for Americans and Germans. Then you have your tank commander sprues. You'll get a couple of them here. So 2 of those. Then you have some resin crew for the 5cm guns for the Germans. And then obviously a ton of sprues here. We're going to go ahead and take a look at each specific set of sprues more closely. Alright, first off we have 6 Panzer III sprues. So one of these sprues will be used for your HQ, while the other 5 will be your Panzer III platoon. So these are all identical. We're just going to go ahead and take a closer look at one sprue here. Let me zoom in. And we'll lift this up just a little bit. So your top and bottom hull, your tracks, your turret and the turret base, and all the other components to create your Panzer III. So of note here are 3 barrels of the cannon. Let me zoom in here even more. So you'll have your short and your long, and then you have kind of like something in between. I'm not quite sure specifically which barrel this is, but this is the long, this is the short. So let me turn this around. Tracks are always beautiful from Battlefront. They're nicely detailed, and unlike other game systems, you don't have to assemble them. Really easy to just glue it onto the bottom hull based on the tabs that you have. So your standard Panzer III sprue. Alright, next up you get 3 Panzer IV sprues. So these are all identical. This will be enough to create your Panzer IV platoon. That is for the box. That's for the box. So we'll go ahead and take a look at one of the sprues since they're identical. Let me zoom in. Again, your beautiful tracks. Got the top of the hull here, bottom hull, all the other components for your Panzer IV. You do have 2 different barrels here. Take a closer look. I love that Battlefront's miniatures are actually well detailed for their size, but at the same time very easy to put together. They're very simple, not a complicated model to put together. Lastly, you get 3 5cm artillery sprues. They're all identical. We'll go ahead and take a closer look. Again, a very easy model to put together. Very well detailed. This is the, it says here, Pack 38. Alright, next up are all the German cards. We're going to go ahead and take a closer look at all of them. So first off is your formation card. This tells you what to get to create the Afrika Korps formation. Panzer IV Company, Panzer III Company, 90th Light Rifle Company, Africa Rifle Company, and Fallschirmjäger Company. On this side also is the movement orders. You'll see this on most of these formation cards. All the support units are listed here. I'm just going to leave it up for you guys to take a look. And then some rules for formation and allied support as well as wild card. Alright, next up are the Panzer III cards. So in this set of cards, you'll get your Panzer III Company HQ, your Panzer III Up Armored Tank Company HQ, Panzer III Platoon, and Panzer III Up Armored Platoon. We'll go ahead and take a closer look at each of these cards. And I'm just going to leave this up on the screen for a little bit. And then on the other side. Alright, next up is the Up Armored HQ. And then on the other side of that. Alright, next is the Panzer III Tank Platoon. And then on the other side. And then lastly, the Up Armored Panzer III Tank Platoon. And then on the other side. We do have one more card for the Panzer III Platoons, or Company. It's the Mixed Tank Platoon. So in the Mixed Tank Platoon, you'll have a combo of short 5cm, long 5cm, 7.5cm guns. Then on the other side, just the rules, options, point costs. Next up is the Panzer IV Tank Platoon. I'll leave that up for you guys. And then on the other side. And then lastly, the 5cm Tank Hunter Platoon. And then on the other side. Alright. Alright, next up we have 4 sprues of M3 lead tanks, one which will be the HQ for your formation here. They're all identical again, so we'll just go ahead and take a closer look at one of the sprues. There's the main hull, bottom hull, tracks, turret, as well as barrels and all the other fun stuff. We'll go ahead and take a closer look at each section. I love that you can see the rivets on the hull here. Very well detailed. Looks like you do have a couple barrels here. I believe the Lee had one turret as well as a front-facing cannon. Again, the tracks are wonderfully detailed. Again, what I like are the rivets on the hull. It makes it look nice for a 1/100th scale model. Alright, next up you have 3 M4 Shermans, all identical. We'll take a closer look at one of them. Zoom in. Nothing too special about the M4 Sherman if you've had previous releases that these were included in. It's actually a very nice model as well. Main hull, bottom hull, tracks, everything else. Alright, to finish off the American side, you get 5 sprues of the M3 Stewards. So we'll go ahead and take a closer look at one of them since they're all identical. Again, this is like a 2-part sprue. Got your main hull, tracks, bottom hull, another version of the top of the hull. We'll take a closer look. Again, very well detailed for the size. A hallmark of Battlefront's miniatures. Again, you get 5 of these. Alright, next up are the American cards. So we'll go ahead and take a closer look at the formation card. Let me zoom in here. Alright, on the other side are the support units, as well as the movement orders. Next up are the M3 Lee cards. So you'll have a company HQ, and then the standard M3 Lee card. Take a closer look at the tank company HQ. And then on the other side, all right, next up is the standard M3 lead tank platoon. You do have different options for the main gun. Alright, and then on the other side. Next up is the M3 Stewart tank platoon card. And then the other side. Lastly, M4 Sherman tank platoon card. And then on the other side. Alright, next up is your A5 size rulebook. This is included in all the starters from Battlefront Miniatures Flames of War. I have a ton of these, and if you are a player of Flames of War, you're going to have a number of these already. Next is the Core Rules Guide, a quick start guide on how to play Flames of War. This is in all the other starters as well. Kind of breaks down the most basic mechanics for playing the game. Great for new players, and kind of like a nice reference guide in the event that you need something to refer to without flipping through the main rulebook. So lastly is the build guide for all of the vehicles that are included in the set. Again, these are actually very simple to put together, but if you want, you do have optional ways of assembling because some of them have different turrets or just different options on the tanks themselves. This is the German side, including the 5cm gun assembly, and then obviously the M3 on the back. So, yep. And there you have it, Flames of War Kasserine 2-player starter for the US and German side mid-war. This is definitely what I call a twofer, as are all the Battlefront Miniatures Flames of War 2-player starters. It's a great way to get into the game, as well as reinforce any armies or forces that you already have. The only downside to the 2-player starters like Tobruk and for Kasserine are that there aren't any infantry, which is a big part of Flames of War. So if you're looking just for basic tank-on-tank gameplay, these starters are great. And also, again, a great way to get into the game. However, to expand beyond the 2-player starter, you will need to start incorporating infantry. Now, hopefully that means that new mid-war infantry or updated mid-war infantry will be coming out from Battlefront soon. I'm not aware, but if you guys are regular Flames of War players, you probably know that, and you can let me know in the comments below. So anyway, great set, as is the Tobruk set. Great way to get in the game. Great way to reinforce your armies, and definitely a great way to introduce new players to the game. So. Alright, that's it. If you like this video, go ahead and click like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I appreciate it if you would. Click the bell notification icon to get notified of all new unboxings coming out of the channel, and then click the link in the description below to join our Discord server. That is the best way I can personally interact with you and chit-chat you about Flames of War and any other game that we cover on the channel. So, that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more Flames of War unboxings from Wargaming Noob Historical.